Hello and welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we're taking a look at the new Tiny Gift Box Lizard and Snake add-on. This die coordinates with the original Tiny Gift Box to create a snake or lizard character for your gift box. Here's a look at all of the pieces that the die creates. We have the face, the arms, some legs, some stripes, the piece that creates a cute little belly, and of course that big piece at the end is the tail. So let's show you how to assemble these pieces to create a lizard or a snake tiny gift box. First up, we're going to start with a lizard, and we've cut our pieces from some #2 pencil cardstock for that dark yellow color for our lizard. We've cut our tiny gift box, and we're just folding along all the score lines that the die creates for the box. We're just reinforcing those folds with a bone folder so that they are nice and crisp, and then we will put some double-sided adhesive on those little flaps to assemble our box. Now we can add that double-sided adhesive tape to these little tabs on the sides. And then we'll pull off that liner paper and assemble our little box. So we can just fold up the sides and then we'll attach that little flap on the inside, and then we'll do the same to the back. Those two little tabs at the top just simply fold into the box and give a place for the lid to close. Now to make our lizard, we're going to add a little bit of adhesive on the back side of his face so that we can add this kind of rectangular piece behind to fill in his eyes, nose, and his mouth. Next, we have this little belly piece that we've cut from white cardstock, and this just lines up with the bottom edge of this face piece. Now we have these cute little arms, and they actually have a score line so you can fold them forward so that when this is on the box, they kind of stick out from the box on the front. Now you can go ahead and put this on the back of the little face, but we're actually going to put it on the box first. So we're going to put adhesive on the back side, and you want to make sure that you put it a little bit higher than the bottom. So you can see we've lined it up at the bottom here, but that's not quite right because you want those little feet to be flat on the tabletop when this box is sitting up. So you can push it up a little bit from the bottom, and then this is the correct placement for those little feet. You can see how it's going to be nice and flat. Then we can add adhesive all over the front of the box. And we'll put that little face and sandwich these little feet between the face piece and the box itself. Look how cute that is with those little feet sticking out. Next, we want to add our little stripes to our lizard. So we have all of these stripes cut from a brown cardstock. There are long stripes to go across the top of the box, and then there are those little pointy stripes that go on the sides to kind of continue that stripe around the body of the lizard. And you could add as many stripes as you like. 3 is the perfect amount to kind of fill the space. Once we have those across the top of the box, we can take those little pointy stripes and we're just going to line them up and make them look like the stripes wrap around the corner. So we will do this to both sides of the box so those little stripes are continuous across the back side of our little lizard. I think these stripes would be really fun in lots of different colors if you were making a really colorful lizard. So now we have our stripes all done and we can work on the hind legs. So there is a die that cuts out 2 hind legs that go in different directions. And then there is also a die that cuts out a piece that we can layer behind those openings so we get those stripes like we have on top of the lizard on the legs as well. So we're just layering this on the back side of those legs, and then we'll have those cute stripes. Now these little legs also have a score line where you can fold out the little foot so that it will be flat on the tabletop when your box is assembled. So it will look just like those little feet on the front. So we can add some adhesive all over that colored piece on the back, avoiding the little foot that's going to bend out. And then we will just line this up right on the back of the box. So that flat part of the leg lines up with the flat edge of the box. And you can see those little feet sticking out. How cute are those? So we'll do that to our other little leg here, and then we almost have a complete lizard. I just think that's cute with those little feet sticking out everywhere. Finally, we need to add our little lizard's tail. So we have these two triangular pieces. We're putting adhesive all over the backside of one and then just on the tab of the other because there is a score line that we're going to fold, and these are going to go flat on the back of the box. But we can layer those two triangular pieces right up to that fold line together, and then these line up with the back of the box and that little notch at the top. So now we have this little tail sticking out from the back of our little lizard, and I just think that is so cute. These would be really fun favors for a birthday party. You could make them out of all kinds of different colors to where everyone gets a different colored lizard. Now let's show you how to assemble this box to create a snake. We're going to use some of the same pieces, but we're not going to use the arms, legs, or stripes. So we have our tiny gift box again, cut from some green cardstock, and we're just folding along those score lines once again to create our box. This is always the first step so that your box is ready to decorate with your little pieces. So we folded along those score lines. We're adding some double-sided tape to these 4 little tabs. Then we will peel off that liner paper, fold up the sides, and adhere these tabs to the front and back of the box. So now that we have our little box assembled, we can start to put our little pieces together for our snake. There is this little tongue that the die will cut out. We've cut that from some red cardstock, and we're adding this before we add the black rectangle so that we can tuck that tongue into that mouth opening, and we can sandwich that between the 2 pieces. Then we can add the black piece to fill in the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and we'll just clean up any extra adhesive on the back. Then we have the little tummy piece that we will add to the bottom of this face. And you'll see here in a little bit, we're going to cut a piece of cardstock to kind of extend this tummy piece down the front of the box. Now we're also going to add the tail, just like we did with the lizard. Using the same method, we're going to put adhesive all over one piece and then adhesive just on the tab of the other one because there are fold lines on this, and we can fold this on that score line. And then we will sandwich the 2 triangular areas of this tail together to create a tail that comes out the back side. And then where we have those 2 flat pieces that we folded out, those fit right on the back of the box, right around the little notch to help you open the box. Now, because this is a snake instead of a lizard, we want to put the head on a little bit differently so that it's sticking up in the air. So we want to take a piece of paper that goes down the front of the box. So this little piece of paper is 1 1/8 inches wide, and then we're just going to cut it to the length of the box so that it looks something like this when we've assembled it. We can add our adhesive to the back and center it up on that front panel of our box where our head is going to go. And then we'll just add some adhesive to the bottom part of the head and just overlap the front of the box just slightly so we have a nice tall front of this box. And that is what makes this look like a snake. Now you could, of course, add those little stripes like we did on the lizard as well. Some snakes do have those kind of markings, but there are a lot of options on ways to make these and what colors to use to make them fun for whatever occasion you're making them for. So now let's take this little lizard tiny gift box add-on, but change it up and make it into a card. So I'm using the Watercolor Wishes petite paper pack to pull out a few colors for my card. I think this will give a really cool look to that lizard and the background. So I'm using 3 different colors from this pack. I'll be using the yellow for my lizard, the teal color for my background, and then the purple as just my accent for my lizard. And then I'm also using some lawnfawn algae cardstock to cut out the tropical backdrop to frame up my card. So I've already cut out all my little pieces here and I need to assemble my lizard. Now I cut the piece that goes behind the eyes and mouth out of some storm cloud cardstock. So it is a dark gray just for a little bit of a different look. And then I'm adding the little belly that I cut from the purple Watercolor Wishes paper. And then I have my little legs the same way. I cut the leg from the yellow and I'm layering the purple behind. This is the only place we're going to see those little stripe details because this is flat and I won't have the box for the other stripes. So I thought this was fun to add these other little legs. For the front legs, I'm just gluing these right along the bottom of the back side of the face. I'm not going to fold any of the little feet out since we're making a card and I want it to be nice and flat. Then I'm adding some dots of glue and I'm just going to tuck the hind legs behind them and I'm going to kind of tuck them pretty close so that this little character doesn't look too wide. So you're going to see I'm going to adjust them a little bit and kind of tuck them a little bit closer. So we kind of have this three-dimensional look to this flat card. I'm also using the little cheeks that come in this die. We did not use those on the boxes, but there is a die in here that cut out these tiny little cheeks that you can add to your lizard. And you can see up there, I've got some googly eyes. I'm not going to actually add them to my card, but I am going to show you what it looks like if you did add them, which is kind of a fun look depending on what you're going for. So now let's move on to the assembly of the rest of the card. I have that tropical backdrop cut from the algae cardstock, but I wanted to add some inking to this to really make it stand out. So I'm using my stamp wheel platform because it has this grip mat and it's going to hold this delicate die cut down while I add some inking. I'm first starting out with some Lucky Clover Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just going to go all the way around the edge with this darker green ink. And you can see that this grip mat is great for holding these delicate die cuts in place while you add some inking. Now I did go across the bottom, which I didn't really need to do because that's going to get covered up by a rock that we're going to create for our lizard to sit on. Next, I'm pulling out the Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide, and I'm going to add a little bit of darker ink to this. And I'm really liking the way this looks, adding those colors of ink to this die cut. So I'll set that aside. This is going to layer over a piece of Watercolor Wishes paper as kind of my sky. But before I assemble these pieces, I do want to create a place for my lizard to sit on my card. So I thought I would create a big rock to go at the bottom for him to sit on. So this piece of narwhal cardstock is cut to 4¼ wide, and I'm just kind of hand sketching in a shape that is sort of the top of my rock, and I'll just cut these out with some scissors. This obviously doesn't have to be perfect. It is a rock after all, and that's why I'm not using a border die to cut the top. I'll erase my pencil line, and now I'm adding some ink to this. So I'm starting out with some storm cloud ink, and then I'm also pulling in some soot, which is a little bit darker, and I'm just being very kind of haphazard with my inking just so this doesn't look so solid. Next, I'm pulling out my watercolors, and I have some white watercolor splatters I'm adding to add some texture, and I will also do the same with my black watercolor. I have to say that the white and the black are my two most used watercolors in this set for this very reason. I like to add texture to things a lot. But this is going to make it look a little more like a rock with those specks of different minerals in there and the different colors. So I'll let that dry, and now I can look at assembling my card. So I want to cut this off to the correct height where I want my little lizard to sit. So I'm just going to line this up and lay him on here and see how far I need to cut this. And I'm just going to mark it with a pencil so I know where to cut off the bottom. Now I'm going to add some foam tape all over the back of my rock so it will be popped up. And I'm adding some to the back of my lizard as well so that I will get some dimension off that background with these two elements. Now I want to avoid the little feet because that will be on the rock. And now I'm just adding that Watercolor Wishes panel to my card base so I can start to adhere everything down to my card. Next, I have that tropical backdrop, and I'm actually going to add this with some dry adhesive runner with those little dots. And I thought that this worked pretty well for this little delicate die cut. I could use some liquid glue, but there are some very fine pieces on here. This allowed me to put this down, and then you're going to see I have some of the leaves from this die set cut from some cardstock that is not inked in a lighter green color. And I'm just cleaning up the adhesive that did kind of stick out from the edges, which actually wasn't a lot. But you can see that this will allow me to take these other leaves and pick up that die cut where I've already stuck it down and kind of tuck them in behind. So I'm just adding one up here at the top. And then I'm also going to add some at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and put my rock down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to set my lizard here. He is not stuck down just yet. I wanted to add some things kind of coming up behind him. So I have these long skinny ones that are also from this backdrop die. And you can see that I don't need to tuck them all the way down because they're going to get hidden by the lizard, but it's going to make him look like he's in kind of a terrarium environment or a tropical environment, which I think is fun. This just sort of filled in a little bit more down here at the bottom. So I'll just add one more. I didn't end up using that last little leaf to the side over there in my tray, but you can see this is where I'm picking up that piece and sort of tucking it behind. It gives it some really nice dimension. So here's that other leaf, but I actually did not end up using it. I was trying to figure out where was the best place to put it, and I just decided to leave it off. Now I can add my lizard. I'm adding a few dots of glue to his feet so that they can be stuck down to the rock. Now for my sentiment, I thought it would be fun to have him talking in a little speech bubble, and I have the Chit Chat stamp set. Any of these stamps would be perfect. They fit perfectly above this cute little lizard, but I decided to go with a very generic one that just said, "Hi there." I'm going to stamp this on a piece of speckled eggshell cardstock, so it's kind of that creamy, natural look, and I'm stamping this in some soot ink, and I will use the coordinating die to cut it out. And then I will just pop it up with some foam tape right above my little lizard, and just I think that's so cute. I also have all these little flowers. These are also from that tropical backdrop die, and I cut those from Guava Cardstock. I'm just adding those sprinkled around. And then for some shimmer, I thought it would be fun to add these iridescent sequins. They kind of look like bubbles, although I know that this isn't really a water environment this lizard is in, but I just think they're just kind of fun floating through the sky. And then this is my finished card with that cute little lizard. This is what it would look like if we added some googly eyes, but I'm going to leave that off for now. And I just think it turned out really cute. It's really fun to take those tiny gift box add-ons and figure out a way to create a card out of them. Now let's look at some samples from the design team. This is a cute little lizard box from Elise, and I love how she added all those little spots to add texture to the lizard. I also love that she did tone on tone with the stripes. It's a really fun look. This card by Megan is so cute. I love how she used the money pocket die to contain her little lizard, or in this case, frog. I love how Letitia changed up the colors for her little snake box by using some craft cardstock. And then this card by Mindy is really fun with all those different colored lizards all over the front of a card. Then here is another look at the boxes that we created in today's video to create a snake or a lizard. And then here is another look at the card that I created in today's video as well. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye!